This is a weather vane I made. I had an old fan that crapped out on me. So what I did was I used the actual mechanism for the fan. I used the propeller that came with it, and I just took a piece of PVC tubing and I mounted a tail on it. I assembled it and it seems to be working pretty good. So with that in mind, I decided I wanted to make a better one. And I'll show you what I have now. I picked up 4 of these blades. They're for a ceiling fan, and paid a couple of dollars for them. And I figured I could use them in my next project here, which is making a bigger windmill or a weather vane. And what I've done was I had my son go on the computer and make a template, and we put some circles around it with 3 points. And what I did was, to mount these in a proper location, I just started with one hole on this line right here where all of these 3 marks are. So they're all identical at the same point. Once I mounted this screw in here, then I just looked through the hole. I saw the other line and I punched a hole right through there. So now they're all equally spaced. And I mounted them up and I used 1/4" hardware. And as you can see, it spins pretty nice. I can adjust it by tightening this bolt right here. This is just a lag bolt. I went online and I ordered these bushings. They're bearing bushings, and they're 1/4 inch inside diameter and I believe 1/2 inch outside diameter, and they fit exactly on the shaft of that lag bolt that I put through the face of the propeller, so it would spin nice and easy. I bought 5 of them. They were like $8 or something like that, and the lag bolt was very cheap. So what I have here, let me show you the back of it. Okay. These are the bolts coming through the propeller, and the main lag bolt is right in here. I put a couple of washers, a few washers in here, just so there wouldn't be any friction between the block of wood and the face of the propeller. And it seems to be pretty well. Not bad at all. So now that I have the propeller all done, my next step is to make the tail section. I'll show you what I have there. This is the lag bolt that I'm going to mount into my tail section. And right here is the tail section that I made. My neighbor was getting a new roof put on, and this is a scrap piece of material that they use for the roofing. So what I did was I took this 1x1 piece of board, and on my table saw I cut a groove into it. And then I took the tin material and I set it down into that groove, and I threw some shims in here because the material itself is a lot thinner than the groove I actually cut into the wood with my table saw. But it seemed to work out pretty good. I threw some sheetrock screws in there just to keep everything together. I'm going to have to seal it now with some silicone along the groove here, all the way around, and that should really keep it pretty firm. Now, this is where I'm going to put the lag bolt, that center lag bolt. I'm going to mount that right in the center of this board, and theoretically it should work. I don't know. We're going to give it a shot and we're going to see what happens. I mean, it's kind of big, but I don't know. It's the way I do things. There was no planning really. This is just hit or miss. I sealed the tail section. I put some silicone in there just to cover up that groove. It seemed like it came out pretty good. It's pretty stable. That's a good thing. I also mounted the propeller on the piece of board here, and it seems to spin pretty good once it doesn't hit anything. So that worked out pretty good. And then I had to find the balancing point here, and I wasn't sure with all that hardware in the front here and the propeller. I wasn't sure that I was gonna really get it balanced without putting counterweight on the back. But I put this dowel stick here, and as you could see, I marked the center line, and it's pretty well balanced right here. I mean, that's not bad at all. So I scribed the line across here. Now I'm going to find the center, and I'm going to drill a hole in there just for the lag bolt to go in. And that'll be the next step. But overall, it came out pretty decent. I'm really impressed with it. It is kind of big, but you know what? Go big or stay home. Well, the weather vane's all painted. Well, it works pretty damn good. Mounted it to the shed.